श्रीमान् वेङ्कटनाथार्यः कवितार्किककेसरी वेदान्ताचार्यवर्यो मे सन्निधत्ताम् सदा हृदि रामानुजदया पात्रम् ज्ञानवैराग्यभूषणम् श्रीमद्वेङ्कटनाथार्यम् वन्दे वेदान्तदेशिकम् சீரொன்று தூப்புல் திருவேங்கடமுடையான் பாரொன்றச் சொன்ன பழமொழியுள் ஊரொன்று தானே அமையாதோ தாரணியில் வாழ்வார்க்கு வானேரப் போமளவும் வாழ்வு.
So we continue Abhaya Pradana Saram of Sri Vedanta Deshika. So we have seen that the sages in the forest said to Rama, Sri Rama, that he has to protect them. There is only one protector. So this is where the third step we are getting into the process of the total surrender, namely Sharanagati. Sharanagati is given in other words as Nyasaha, Atmanikshepaha, Tyagaha and Prapadanam. There are so many synonymous words to Sharanagati. And also we have Bharanyasa in Vatakalai Sampradaya. So Sharanagati is equivalent to all these words. Bharanyasaha, Prapattihi, Prapadanam, Nyasaha, Atmanikshepaha. You can also say one more letter, Atmanikshepanam. And Tyagaha. Tyagaha generally means sacrifice, but giving up something. But here we are talking about all kinds of Tyaga. Sarvadharman Parityajya. So the sages appeal to Rama earlier than the time of incarnation of Mahavishnu as Sri Rama. They had the meditation. They could communicate to the Lord straight away by telepathy, and they informed him earlier from Vaikuntha itself. From Vaikuntha itself. Lord was in Vaikuntha. And he took a little more time to incarnate as Rama. And then they started appealing. The sages went on appealing. They have been troubled for a long time by the demons in the forest. And therefore, when all the time, 24/7, 365 days, the sages were engaged in tapas, penance. Tapasya also we can call it in Sanskrit. And Vanaprastha Vasins and Sannyasins also. And the subjects of the city also, Nagarasthaha, and those who were in forest, and they considered Rama as their savior. So we will go to the page 28 actually. So we have been here Lord Rama, to fulfill the purpose of his incarnation, protected them completely. He wiped out all the demons' race in the forest, and then he was satisfied that he could help the sages. Rishigalai Rakshitabadi Sollugayale, since we understand from Srimad Ramayana that Rama has protected the sages, Rakshapekshai pannum பொழுது வேறோர் உபகாரம் பண்ண வேண்டா. Now, this is the contention of what we get as benefit from Sharanagati. Sharanagati is otherwise called, as the book title suggests, Abhaya Pradanam. So, extending of protection. That is, Lord makes us fearless. the attitude of fearlessness is instilled in our hearts. And when he does the process, Rakshapekshe Pannum பொழுது, when the sages seek protection, when they ask for shelter, Veror Upakaram Panna Venda. The Lord has no need. It is not necessary for the Lord to help in some other way, except extending protection. That means the protection encompasses all benefits. Whatever is expected from us, from the Lord, by us from the Lord, are all satisfied by simply the protection. Abhayam Sarvabhutebhyo Dadami. That were the words of Rama himself. Abhayam Sarvabhutebhyo Dadami. It is not a question of protection or extending, giving us fearlessness from the beasts of the animals or animals in the forest, or even the pet animals at home, or from another human being. Sarvabhutebhya. From all living beings, from all tiny creatures also. So the poisonous insects are there. So let us have protection from those insects also. So we will have no enemy. So we will have a friendly atmosphere. As Swami Vedanta Deshika said in his Abhaya Abhitistavam, a stotram towards Lord Ranganatha. In the fag end of the stotram, he says, Paraspara Hitaishinam Parisareshu Mam Vartaya. Please place me in a situation where all around me are my friends. They are my well-wishers. They never do harm to me. So please place me in such a situation, such a context. Then, Abhimana Gocharamana Vishayatil. Now, we may tend to ask for more apart from protection. So when we have some favorite, and the favorite has been granted, so Abhimana Gocharam. Abhimana can mean in two ways. One is favorite, the other one is liking, or the respect that we have for the Lord. So when the Lord is imminent, the Lord is in proximity, when he is near, then what should we do is Ananya Sharanataye Velittu Kidakka Vamayum. So we will not go to any other protector once we chose Sriman Narayana in the process called Goptrutva Varanam. Gopta is protector. Goptaa, Gopta. Gopta is the protector. And when we choose among the pantheon of gods in the Sanatana Dharma religion, there is no other shelter available. So with that attitude, so we must approach Lord, Sriman Narayana. So Ananya Sharanataye. Not that suppose we find some other protector capable of giving helplessness equally with the Lord. We are not supposed to go. We are not going. And even when we find such a person, there is a remote chance, rather minus 5% chance, 0% chance to find out an equally capable person to extend shelter to us. So, Ananya Sharanate Velittu Kidakka Vamayum Endru Thirukkanna Mangai Aandan Padiye. So, we are going to see the quotation of Thirukkanna Mangai Aandan. And Kadathala Irundu Vaalum Sombare Uhathi. This is again Tirumalai quotation. And that already we saw in one of the pages earlier, but still we are going to see the repetition. And our life, human life, is always full of repetitions. And we are bothered about only a few repetitions, but we are not, we are happy about other repetitions. So we sometimes oppose some repetition somewhere. And that is because of the bad bent of mind in our heart. And therefore, we don't follow the general principles. Neither we follow elders, nor we follow the scriptures. And therefore, we have got a lot of other demands. Now, let us look at the 2 and 3. 2 is Abhimana Gochara. Tannudayadu என்று அபிமானத்திற்குட்பட்ட. So Abhimana, as I said, the favorite has got an attitude of selfishness. I like this, I like that. So I'm not saying anything about I dislike what. No. I'm not saying anything that I dislike. I like. And when I like, meaning I like most the Lord. And the Lord is nearby now. Either by your mind or by going to the temple, or when one becomes Nityasuri, Lord is nearby. Divya Mangala Vigraha in the Archavatara of temples is nearby when we go and worship them. So when he is nearby, that means Abhimana Gochara. We like him and therefore he is nearby. So he likes us and therefore he is nearby. Then Ananya Sharanata. Perumalai Tavara, Veru Rakshagan Atru Irikai. So just now I told you, we don't have any other equally capable protector. And Tirumalai, now we go to the number 3. Un vasalil iruppadal vaatchi pettavargalum. Somehow, anybody, I remind the idea, namely, jantus, the creatures which have no knowledge, which have not studied books, which have not undergone any process of Sharanagati. They don't have inclination to something like God. So when they never knew anything, even then they are given the blessing of emancipation by Lord Sriman Narayana. And therefore, now, then what will be the benefit of getting from the proximity of the Lord? So we go to the temple, we stand at the entrance. So we stand at the entrance. That's all. We go and sit in the temple. We go and meditate in the temple. And what we do is, as a sort of escapism from the household course duties, we say, we go to the temple. I am going to the temple, I will come after a few hours. So till then, you carry on. You do your work today. You do my work also today. I will not share the responsibility of the household activities. So let me be in the temple. So this is what Tirumalai, rather Tondadipudiyalvar's Tirumalai, accuses us of our lethargy. We are lazy. So the lazy devotees come to the temple, remain idle. Rather, sometimes, some of them at least pray to the Lord with all stotras, devotional songs. And the very simple presence of the human beings, devotees at the door of the temple or inside the prakaras of the temple, walls of the temple. They feel that they need not do any other duty. Karma yoga is not there. Jnana yoga is not there. They need not study books. Bhakti yoga need not be practiced because it is difficult to understand. And Prapatti yoga, we are ready because now I have transferred my burden of protection to the Lord. Rakshikum Bharatai உன்னிடத்தில் போட்டுவிட்டு தாங்கள் அதற்காக ஒரு காரியம் செய்யாததால். I don't know the steps of Sharanagati that I must feel helpless, Karpanyam, Akinchanyam, Kaimudal Illamai, helplessness. So I don't feel helpless. But still I want to transfer the burden, especially of my sins. I don't want to transfer the burden of my merits. I know, or I don't know, that merits also are impediments to my moksha. But still I want to enjoy this world. And if at all I happen to be in this heaven, Swarga, I want to enjoy the benefits of fruits of my merits, punyam. So that is what the Charma Shloka of Lord Krishna says. Sarvadharman Parityajya is Sarva Karma Phalani Tyaktva. You please give up all the fruits of your merits and sins. All your duties. You might have performed sincerely the duties, but still you don't expect anything in return by performing the duty perfectly. And therefore, the first step I don't know. The second step I don't know, because Pratikulya Varjanam, I don't know what to avoid. I don't know scriptures. I have not studied. Nobody taught me. I did not approach a preceptor to teach me scriptures, and therefore I don't want to avoid anything. Pratikulya Varjanam. So I go my way. I follow my own strategy. I am at my will. And I am not going through the next stage also, namely, I don't know that, namely, Anukulya Sankalpaha. I have not yet decided that I must perform the duties enjoined in the scriptures. No, I don't know scriptures. So, Anukulya Sankalpaha, I don't know. So, every step, but go through to Varanam, I know. I know how to choose a protector. That is you. O Shivan Narayana, we have chosen you. And who asked me to choose you? Some people were saying orally and loudly. I heard some people saying that Lord Shivan Narayana is the only person who can offer, give succor, protection, shelter, refuge, and so on. And therefore, we don't want to perform anything. We don't want to even fall at your feet. Because I have got Rajas and Tamas, I am feeling proud of my position. I am not humble, I am haughty. I have got envy and jealousy towards others. And therefore, we are all lazy. So, such a lazy person, such a lot of lazy persons calling themselves as devotees, that is, who transferred the burden of protection to the Lord, they are waiting at the door waiting till the temple doors open for the darshanam, seva. Thirumalai, actually accusation of not only human beings like us, but also the Lord. O Lord Shivan Narayana, you are honoring the people who do not know anything. Simply they said they transfer the burden of responsibility to you. That's all. They didn't fall at your feet at all. They are all lazy. They are idle. They don't do anything else towards the process of Sharanagati. But you give them respect. So accusation Accused number 1 is human being. Accused number 2 is Lord. So, Tondradipudi takes Lord Ranganatha to the court, the world court, international court. Then Ardhra Prada. Now we are going to see the next paragraph, where 4, 5, 6 are in page 28. The Mula text in just before the dotted line. Yes. So Ardhra Pradhanai Udirakayyanana Kaham. Now you understand that the crow, as an incarnation, rather as appearing as a crow, namely Jayanta, the son of Indra, appearing as crow in the Ramayana episode. He came and pricked the chest of Sita Devi, and therefore he made a great blunder. Ardhra Aparadha. Ardhra Aparadhi. Ardhra Aparadhi. Ardhra literally means wet, drenched, clinging to the water. Water drops are there. Ardhra. Ardhra is drenched, nanenjad. Ardhra, but Ardhra Manaha, if you say, a person has got a mind which is drenched or wet. That means he is merciful. But Ardhra Aparadha has got an opposite meaning, namely, the offense is grave. The offense is grave. Ardhra Aparadhana. He has made a serious mistake. He committed a grave error. That is Ardhra Aparadha. Who is that? Crow. And what is the proof that he did that blunder? Everybody is a witness. No, many people know, but of course, this was a very secret incident between Sita and Rama. And it was not actually witnessed by anybody, but later on revealed to them by Ramayana story, where Hanuman is given the what we call point of recognition by Sita to Hanuman in Ashokavana. When she was imprisoned in Sri Lanka by Ravana, she gave the illustration. It's a secret incident that happened in life, because it cannot be revealed to all at that time. And later on, it came to the fore, because Hanuman has to believe the words of Sita. So Udirakayyanana, the proof was he was got red-handed. He was caught red-handed. Exactly the English word, red-handed. But blood-handed here, that's all. Udirakayyanana. Udiram is blood. So the blood that oozed out of the body of Sita was still wet in the hands of, rather, in the beak of the crow. We say beak is the hand. Though, of course, 2 legs are there. So beak had the, what we call, the stains of blood, still wet. So Udarakayyanana Kaham. So Rama could identify, recognize the blunder committed by him. And therefore, what did he do? As we understand, Brahmastra Abhimantritamana Turumbale. You know, Rama's way of dealing with or running his own life in the forest, he never took the bow unnecessarily. In fact, Lakshmana kept safely his bow and arrows along with him, his bow along with his bow and arrows. It was a deposit in the hands of Lakshmana. Lakshmana being the able assistant. Rama did not use the bow and arrow, and he often, and also he did not hold it in the hand permanently. Now we'll compare it with Ranganatha here. Swami Vedantachika was very fond of Ranganatha also, apart from his own native, what we call affinity, with regard to all the gods in the temples of Kanchipuram. Because he was born in a village called Tupul, near Kanchipuram. He has written stotras of all the temples around, in and around Kanchipuram. And so what happened was, the immediate requirement was Rama's honoring Sita by punishing the crow. So in order to punish the crow, he took a blade of grass from the ground, and then he uttered the spell of the Lord Creator's missile, Brahmastram. So he chanted the mantra of Brahmastram and directed the blade of grass towards the crow. So Turumbale is a small blade of grass, tiny blade of grass. Trinam we call it. So Turumbu is anything very tiny, anything very immaterial. So tiniest, you can say. So it was sent as the Brahmastra by Lord Rama. So what happened was, Turappundu, the crow was driven, and then he ran helter-skelter, and then he approached all gods, including his father, Devendra, Brahma Mudalane. So before going to the page 29, we will have the words, the two words, Ardra Parada. The shade of meaning which I said is a man who committed grave blunder is Ardra Parada. But whereas the meaning given here is beautiful, more beautiful. Kutrathai Sheidu Gonde Irupavanoy. Jayanta is the chip of the old block. Indra made some blunders and he followed the father. Jayanta followed the father in toto. And therefore, Kutrathai Sheidu Gonde Irupavanoy. So he was also doing like his father, committing always mistakes continuously. Ardra Parada. Ardra, again, I told you, wet, drenched, and therefore he always had some what we call commission, rather in the sense offenses to his credit. Even now today, when you go to the police station in India, I don't know about abroad, you see there some culprits having a lot of bad history. Arrested convicts got a long history of bad actions. So that is police department. And that means police itself allows them to commit theft, burglary, murder, and whatnot in order to earn money from them. So I don't know about other countries. So the evil begets evil in the prisons of India. And all the convicts are committing frauds again and again. They are caught again and again. They are allowed to go scot-free. Whereas what happened? So Thurappundu, he was driven, and the crow was driven, and then so we will go to page 29. So this is a single paragraph in Tamil. ஒன்றேறி ஒன்றுயர்த்தார் வாசல்கள் எல்லாம் நுழைந்து நுழைந்து என்னை காத்துக்கொள்ள வல்லார் உண்டோ என்று கதறின இடத்தில் காக்கைக்கு ஒருவரும் இல்லை ஆயிற்று. Please remember before reading the meaning of these words in Tamil that just now we saw the word Ananya Sharanam, Ananya Sharanaha. So when you have no other shelter, so we approach Lord Sriman Narayana. Again, I told you that if at all we have another shelter, then we will not go. That's the right attitude towards the Sampradaya of Sri Vaishnavas in praying to Lord Sriman Narayana. And therefore, now you understand that the crow has no shelter to protect. Ondreri ondruyarthar. So in many ways, each god is unique on his own. Everybody also thinks of themselves, thinks of himself as a great person, great personality. Brahma, Shiva, Indra, and all other gods also, they always have pride about their own position. When Brahma grants boons to some demons when they pray, Shiva comes and rescues Lord Brahma himself. Because he is in risk. He faces danger from the boons that he gave to the demons. And therefore, Shiva says, I protected you. Brahma says, I saved Indra from. In that way. So, ondreri ondruyarthar. People have got hierarchy. They have got the levels of greatness. So, one sometimes surpasses the other sometimes is controlled by the other. And therefore, ondreri ondruyarthar. So, someone is higher than the other god. Another one is another spiritual head in some other way. So, ondreri ondruyarthar vasalgal ellam. The crow went to every entrance of those gods. Vasalgal ellam. Nuraindu. So he didn't get even permission from the sentry of the entrance, but he dashed into the world of all the gods. Nuraindu. Ennai kaattukolla vallar undo. Can anyone protect me? Is there any capable God to protect me? Endru kadarina vidathil, when he shouted, cried, wept, and so on, there was no one to protect him. Kaakekki oruvarum illayaayu. A tiny creature, you can say. A bird in black color. It's not a big creature, big animal. It's a bird. It can only fly up to a certain distance. It cannot fly like eagle or Garuda or any other bigger bird. It can go up to a certain height only. So incapable bird, that when it committed a blunder, it did not have any shelter. So this is the only example given by Rama's episode, namely a tiny creature. Of course, we have no reference in Valmiki Ramayana, but Alvar says, Anilam Pole. He refers to a squirrel which helped Rama to build a bridge across the ocean from Dhanushkoti to Sri Lanka, the country Sri Lanka. So there is no reference in Ramayana, but generally we say a squirrel tried to help Rama by jumping into the ocean water, coming back to the sand, and then roll on the sand so that the sand will stick to its back. Again, the sand will be deposited between the stones of the bridge thrown by the monkeys there, especially Nala, Neela, and so on. So this is how Anilam Pole, Alvar said. But in that way, a creature comes and helps the Lord, and it is blessed. And a creature troubles the Lord, it becomes wretched. That's all. So Avvalavil. Now we say in a Subhashitam that even when a creature helps, Tiryanchopi Sahayatam. Tiryanchopi Sahayatam. Even when a creature helps the Lord, it will get blessed. But if a demon troubles, a powerful demon troubles, then he will be subdued. That's mean. Now the number 2, we are going to the Sanskrit Tamil word. Priyahita Karigal Anadayum. Thagappanum avargal naatile kudiyirukira devajathigalum. Sharanagata Dakshina Dharmathirkku Upadeshtakalana Maharishigalum. Tangal ஏறிட்டு கொண்டால். Now, so this is the number 2. Meaning, as you know, Priyahita Karigal is those who are doing activities favorable and dear to the devotees, or who are surrendering to them. Tahappanum. So what happened to the father of the crow, namely Indra? So he also thought high of himself, but Indra could not save his own son, Jayanta. And therefore, 33 crores of gods are residents of heaven, and each one was thinking about his own pride, his own capabilities. And avargal naatile kudiyirukira devajathigalum. Though the gods wanted to do favor to all the people who surrendered to them. There are sages in the forest also who could save some people who surrendered to them. Sharanagata Rakshana Dharmathirkku, in the process of adopting the protection attitude toward the surrenderies, there are sages who could advise them properly. Upadeshtakalana Maharishigalum. There were great sages who advised people getting into trouble to seek the shelter from Sriman Narayana. So, Tangal Erittu Kondal, when they take the responsibility of protecting others, so what will happen? So, there will be chaos, and so there will be no one who is called highest God. So what happened was, he went, and the Jayanta went and sought the shelter from the great sages in the forest also. So Saha Pitracha Parityaktaha. Now all of them have given up the pride. No one took up the responsibility of protecting the crow, because they know that they are incapable. So father deserted him, rejected him. Sa Pitracha Parityaktaha. It is in passive voice. So he was sent out by the father, deserted by father. Suraihi cha, all other gods. When the leader of the gods himself was rejecting his own son, so the gods also followed suit. And therefore, Samaharshibi, along with the lot of great sages in the forest, who could not help him. They didn't help him. So what I meant by this one, this paragraph is given in footnote number 1. So we will read the footnote number 1. So சர்வேஸ்வரனான ஸ்ரீமன் நாராயணனை போல தாங்களும் ஒரு தேவதை என்று நினைத்து. That's what I was telling you now, that if and when the gods think of themselves as Sriman Narayana, as powerful as Sriman Narayana, they feel that each one is the supreme lord of the world, Sarveshwaranana. So when they wanted to imitate, for example, when they want to imitate Sriman Narayana, when they think of protecting others just like Sriman Narayana does, each one had a paraphernalia. For example, Brahma had a carrier, as Lord Sriman Narayana has got Garuda, the kite, as his vehicle. Brahma has got a swan. So Brahma can be proud that he has a swan as his vehicle, and therefore he is better than Sriman Narayana, who has got Garuda as his vehicle. The Hamsa, the swan, also can fly to long distances. A Rajahamsa, a royal swan, will be able to fly from earth to heaven. So Brahma can afford to be proud. Then Shiva is there, Lord Shiva. He has got a bull as his vehicle. So he can be proud that he has a bull as his vehicle. The bull is the strongest vehicle, and therefore it can, of course, run. It can even fly because of God's power. So again, Shiva could be proud. So they initially might have thought that they are more powerful than Sriman Narayana, or are equally powerful like Sriman Narayana, and therefore they had the paraphernalia like Sriman Narayana, with what we call Garuda as the vehicle and Garuda as the banner, the emblem in the banner. So also, for example, Shiva has got a bow called the Pinakam. And the banners are also there for all gods. So the banner for Lord Creator is the swan. The banner for Lord Shiva is the bull. So each one has got a vehicle. Therefore, they can themselves think that they will be great as Sriman Narayana. Now, Priyahitakari, number 2, footnote number 2. Shaigara Kalatil Sukama Irupadu Priyam, Appodu Kastama Irundalum, Pinnal Sugaki Kudupadu Hitam. There are 2 words preceding the word Kari. Kari meaning doer, active person. So there are 2 kinds of people who will do things dear to us, who will help us kindly, and some people who will do what is important to us, what is necessary for us. And because sometimes what happens in the in a subharitam, in a statement in Sanskrit, we have like this: a person who will be at the same time helpful and gives the right help is very rare to find. Some people do help, but the help is not permanent. Sometimes the help ends in a bad effect. And therefore, for example, people who advise others, they give us sometimes the doctors give us a diet for health. Pathyam we call it. Pathyam. So when the doctor prescribes the diet, the diet may be disliked by us because of its taste of bitterness. They may what they may prescribe, we may not like it, we may not be able to consume it, and therefore our disease is not cured. But later on you find that there will be no side effect of those medicines, and therefore we will find that medicine is good to cure the ailment. And therefore, if the favor that is done by someone is giving pleasure to us at the time of help, later on it may become something opposite. It may have an ill effect. Therefore, we must feel, we may feel at the end that the help should not have been extended to us. The other one is, in the process of the help, first it may be harsh. Words may be harsh. The process may be hard, but the end result will be totally successful. And therefore, now people who do all this, both this together, are rare to find. And therefore, now there are 2 points here. Lord Shiman Narayana is the only Priya Hitakari, that we can understand. And whereas the gods like Brahma, Shiva, Indra, the sages, the great sages in the forest, all of them are either Priyakari or Hitakari. They cannot be at the same time both Priya Hitakari. But they can advise Upadeshipavulana. The meaning given for the Sundarakanda verse, 38th canto, 33rd verse is Indra's wife, Indrani. She is called Sachi. Sachi. She also refused to shelter for her son Jayanta. Mata Pitakalalum. Pitra Tyaktaha is only a word in Ramayana. He was rejected by father. But we understand Indrani also, Sachi also rejected his request. So Mata Pitakalalum. Generally, the mother is supposed to be more affectionate toward the child, and therefore she would have assured protection. She could have assured protection, but she also refused. So Mata Pitakalalam, Maharshigalalum Rakshika Mudiyadu என்று கைவிடப்பட்டான். So that is now the point that we understand under the title Abhaya Pradana Saram, because every page has gotten what we call secondary and tertiary meaning, what we call a suggestion in English, what we call in Tamil Iraichi Porul, Marai Porul, or what we call the essence different from the literal words. And therefore, Abhaya Pradana, the subject Abhaya Pradana must be understood in every word of Swami Vedanta Deshika. And now we understand the policy that we must adopt while, if at all the surrender is coming to our place for rescue, we have to give right advice. We have to give right advice. Otherwise, we are not to be engaged in giving advice. We must give a right advice. Need not be palatable advice. That's what it means, Priya Hitakari. The advice may not be palatable. It cannot be relished. It cannot be enjoyed. It cannot be tolerated. It cannot be borne, B-O-R-N-E. But still, it should be good. It should be yielding good result. And therefore, we are not supposed to give advice to everyone when they even come to our shelter. And we must always be careful to give right advice. Number one. Number two, we have to reject the request if at all not possible for us to help. Bluntly refuse to help. Rather embarrassing to the surrendery, we will not accept the request. And if at all we are able to do both, namely the favorable one, which gives pleasure to him, and which will do good to him later also, then if we can find a solution in such a way, then we can do that kind of activity. So, in the case of Sharanagati, of course, the most important Sharanagati is our Sharanagati to the Lord. Suppose somebody comes and asks for some help from me, for example, personally, I must tell him that you please pray to Sriman Narayana. That's what we must say. The right advice will be directing the surrendery to go to the preceptor. The preceptor himself is the Lord, God for him. And we say Godfather, a spiritual head. So go to the spiritual head and seek advice. That will be solved. The problem will be solved. So this is how we must take the cue from every page of Abhaya Pradana Saram of Sri Vedanta Deshika. Though Ramayana episodes are really small illustrations. And only when somebody commits the error like a crow, he must be saved. So that is not the lesson that we read. That is not the lesson that we get from Ramayana episodes. And this is how we understand Abhaya Pradhanam and its Saram from Ramayana's illustrations by Vedanta Deshika. We come to realize.
அந்த பையன் பேரு ஜெயந்தன்ல
ஆமா
காக்காசுரன்
நீங்க சொன்னது சார் கரெக்ட் காக்காசுரன் அதுலயும் அந்த மென்ஷனே பண்ணல Abhaya Pradana Saram does not tell say Kaka is a demon. Okay, he did the demoness act, but you are right, Kakasura. Now I think I have told you earlier in one of the sessions, Parvati cursed the gods, issueless. All the gods must be issueless, children without children. And therefore, when Manmatha was the child of Lord Sriman Narayana and Mahalakshmi, Brahma is the first son and Manmatha is the second son. Shiva has two sons. And in that way, Manmatha was born to Lord Sriman Narayana and Mahalakshmi. They granted Indra the boon of rearing, bringing up as a son, Manmatha. And Manmatha became Jayanta. The name was given Jayanta. And Manmatha being the child of the mother Mahalakshmi. Therefore, he came and pricked the breast of the Mahalakshmi in the form of Sita Devi. That is all. It's not a mistake done by him. This is what we call management of what a blunder, which is not to be considered as blunder. So that is why I told you Rama is a drama. And therefore, so we understand through Ramayana many. So we get the life's lessons and scriptural principles from Ramayana. What to do and what not to do.
பெருமாளுடைய முதல் பிள்ளை யார் சொன்னாங்க?
பிரம்மா.
ஓகே.
பிரம்மாவுக்கு 2 பிள்ளை, சிவன் ஒண்ணு, நாரதன். இப்படி பாருங்க, 2
அந்த காலத்துலயே ஃபேமிலி பிளானிங் ஃபாலோ பண்ணு.
அதான். in the Krishna episode you will find in the Krishna episode you find that lot of children are born to many people. Mandata had 50 daughters and so many 100 sons of Duryodhana, I mean Dhritarashtra, 100 sons of Kichaka's father.
இல்ல விஷ்ணு புராணத்துல பாத்தீங்கன்னா இதே மாதிரி, இல்ல விஷ்ணு புராணம் இதே மாதிரி தான் பார்த்து ஒவ்வொரு இதுவும் எடுத்தீங்கன்னா எல்லாருக்கும் அதே மாதிரி நிறைய பாத்துருவாங்க.
ராமானுஜதயா பாத்ரம் ஞான வைராக்ய பூஷணம் ஸ்ரீமத்வேங்கடநாதார்யம் வந்தே வேதாந்த தேசிகம் கவிதார்க்கிக சிம்ஹாய கல்யாண குணசாலினே ஸ்ரீமதே வெங்கடேஷாய வேதாந்த குரவே நமஹ. சீரொன்று தூப்புல் திருவேங்கடமுடையான் பாரொன்றச் சொன்ன பழமொழியுள் ஓரொன்று தானே அமையாதோ தாரணியில் வாழ்வார்க்கு வானேரப் போமளவும் வாழ்வு.
ஓம் நமோ நாராயணாய.